example, Eric has been assigned the task of determining how many odd 4-digit numbers there are. Odd 4-digit numbers. So we have to decipher. There's going to be more information below, but the information below that you're not normally given. The information below is just to explain it for now, but on the normal test question, you wouldn't be given it. So, odd 4-digit numbers. How can you tell if a number is odd? Anyone? Yeah. You can divide it by 2. What's another way you can tell something? Or you can't divide it by 2 for odds, yeah. What's another way to tell if a number is odd? If I give you the number 22, what is it? Even. 23. 24. Even. 25. 26. Even. 27. Odd. What's the only number I'm changing? The very last digit, right? If I say 1,765,502, is it odd or even? Even, because you only really care about the last digit. If the last digit is even, it's even. If the last digit is odd, it's odd, right? The rest of the numbers are great and they give us other information, but they don't tell us whether it's odd or even. We agree? So, we want an odd 4-digit number. 4 digits means 4 blanks, correct? So the number 22 would be a 2-digit number. The number 23 would be a 2-digit number. The number 230 would be a 3-digit number. We agree? What about the number 230? That's just weird, is it not? Do you just put a random 0 in front of a number and then it's a 4-digit number? No. If I said I was paying you in 4-digit numbers, so say I would pay you in a 4-digit number, you'd be like, sweet, at the minimum I'm going to get $1,000, right? So if I said, oh, okay, so I'm going to pay you 0670, you'd be like, no, that's a 3-digit number with a 0 in front. Thank you very much. Try again. You owe me more money, right? So when it says odd 4-digit number, we know the back number needs to be odd. So I have the options 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Why can't I put like 11 or 13 or 15 in there? It's a 2-digit number, and each blank can only contain a 1-digit number, right? Because if it was a 2-digit number, it would take up 2 blanks. We agree? So the only options I have for the back are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 4-digit numbers. If it says 4-digit code, could I have a 0 as the first number? If it's a code? Yeah, code's totally different than a digit number, right? So people will see 4-digit code, and they won't want to start with a 0. A code can start with a 0. It's a 4-digit number that cannot. Okay? So when they tell you odd, the back number needs to be odd. 4-digit number, what they're really telling you is the first digit can't be a 0. Now in this question, it distinctly says he has been told the numbers such as 5,267 is a 4-digit number, whereas 0267 is classified as a 3-digit. Do you think they'll tell you that on the diploma, followed behind with explanations? No, this is me being kind on your notes, correct? But they won't do that on the diploma. They'll just say, Eric has been assigned a task of determining how many odd 4-digit numbers there are. Does it say anything about that the numbers can't repeat? No. If it doesn't say they can't repeat, you assume you can repeat. The only way you can't repeat is if it says cannot repeat. Okay? So, we always have to deal with the restrictions first. That was what we said before we left on Thursday. The restriction is dealt with first. So we can deal with this one or this one. It does not matter which one we deal with first, especially because we can repeat numbers. Okay? On the bottom, we list what our outcomes are. On the top, we list how many we have. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. How many options is that? 5. So we have 5 options of numbers for this back blank. We agree? The first blank, the only restriction is it can't be 0. So what numbers can it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, right? So we can have the digits 1 to 9 down here. We agree? How many is that? 9. Is there any restrictions? I should put that on the screen. So up here are the options. Does that mean we're leaving 9 numbers in this blank? No, it means we have 9 options, so we're picking one number at a time, right? Yeah. 0 can't be in the last blank because it has to be odd. Yeah. And then the 2 middle blanks, are there any restrictions on it? No, so they could be the numbers what? 0 to 9. Do we multiply or add these numbers? Multiply or add? What do you think? Multiply. And the reason why we multiply them is because the fundamental counting principle says so, but also because multiplication goes with and, correct? And what we're saying, if we want this 4-digit number, we need this digit and this digit and this digit and this digit to make the 4-digit number, correct? So that's why we multiply them. If not, you could have this digit or this digit or this digit or this digit. Well, then it could be a 1-digit number. Do we want a 1-digit number? No, that's why we have to multiply, because we need this digit and. We need all 4 digits to make the 4-digit number. We agree? In B, it changes it. Exact same question, but it follows with no repeating digits. Okay? So now we can't repeat. So for example, we couldn't have the number 1001. We can't have repeating numbers in the 4-digit number. So do you think we're going to have less or more? Do you think we're going to have less numbers or more numbers if we can't repeat? Here we have 4,500. Do you think we're going to have more than 4,500 or less? Less. If you can't repeat, that's the absolute maximum number of odd 4-digit numbers that exist if I can just repeat. So I could have 1111, could I not? Well, now in the next blank, I can't have 1111. So I'm going to have exclusions. Answers that existed in A are not going to exist in B. So we're going to have less options. Okay? So we still come up with the same deal. We still know we have to have 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 at the back. And we still know we can't have 0 here. We agree? Now, when it says that you can have no repetition, whenever it says that I can't repeat something, I always hold a number as a placeholder and before I move on to the next blank, so I know that that number's gone. It's an option that I can't have anymore because I can't repeat. Okay? So I'm going to do the back number first. 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. I still have 5 options because it's the very first one I picked. So I still have 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 options. Okay? Now I'm going to pretend to keep one of them there. Which one do we want to keep? 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9? It does not matter. 1. So I'm going to circle it. The only reason why I'm doing this is so that I realize that I'm narrowing down my options as I go along. Okay? Could you have picked 3 or 5 or 7 or 9 to circle? Absolutely. The catch would be that now in the first column, you just wouldn't state that number because you're holding it there. So the number we're not going to state, we had 1 to 9 here on this previous question because we could repeat. Now we can't, and we're pretending we're keeping 1 in that blank, right? So now we only have 2 to 9 here. We agree? So how many numbers is that? 2 to 9. If 1 to 9 is 9, what's 2 to 9? 8. Now I have to pretend to keep one. Which one do I want to keep? I always pick one of the end ones so that I can write my numbers easier. 2 or 9? 2? Oh, it's bouncing. Weird. Okay. Then I have 3 to 9. And then people write 7. And you're going to all do that. And on the diploma, that you're going to have the answer with a 7 there. But you're wrong. Why? Look in the previous examples. What numbers did I have as options? 0 to 9. Did I not? So you're telling me in this blank I have 3 to 9 because I've used up 1 and 2. What have I not used up yet? 0. Why haven't I used 0 up? Couldn't have it in the last blank because it would have made the number even. Couldn't have it in the first blank because it would make it a 3-digit number. So have I used the 0? No. So you have to remember to bring it back. So I actually have 8 options for this blank. And everyone's going to put 7 because they're going to forget to bring the 0 back. Do you get that you might do that? Do you understand why the 0 is back? We didn't use it in the last and we didn't use it in the first. So it's not back. It's just never been used. It wasn't an option for either of those two. Okay? And now I'm going to pretend to keep the 9. Just because you probably would have kept the 0. If you kept the 0, absolutely fine. I'm going to have 0 and then 3 to 8, which is how many options? 7, right? What's 8 times 8 times 7 times 5? 64 times 35. What is it? What'd you get? 2,240. Is it substantially less than the previous answer? Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, it takes out all the 11111 answer. It takes out the 1112, 1113, 1114, any of those, right? Any place where there's repetition, it knocks them out. So it's going to be substantially less. Make sense? Okay, we're going to quickly move. We're going to come back to these. They're not going to go away. We're going to flip to the next page, and we're going to go to the even example of Eric. Example 9. This is where I'm going to lose a few of you. I don't want to lose you. I want to keep you here. So we're going to pay close attention so I don't lose people. Okay? Extension of example 5. Eric has now been told to determine how many even 4-digit numbers there are. Does it say anything about no repeating here? No, so we assume that we can. What's the only difference here in this bullet than the last one? The word even, right? So instead of having in my last blank 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, what am I going to have? 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Because in order to have an even digit number, I need to have my last blank be even. Do I need to circle one of these numbers? No, because I'm not holding any there, right? I can repeat. We agree? So how many options is that? I have 5. We agree? Okay. My other restriction is on the very first number, again, because it says odd 4-digit numbers. We agree? So what does that mean? The first blank can't be a 0. So I have 1 to 9. So that didn't change because it's even, right? The only thing that changed with the even was the very black number had to be an even number. So 1 to 9 is 10, or 9, not 10. And then in the middle, I'd have 0 to 9, just like I did before, because there's no restrictions, which is 4,500. Does that make sense, that there be the same even 4-digit numbers as odd 4-digit numbers? Yeah, because you take the 4-digit numbers and split them in half, right? Half of them would be odd, half of them would be even. If I had no restrictions on them, meaning I didn't say you couldn't repeat, okay? For the even non-repeating, put your pencils down. This is where I lose everyone. I don't want to lose you. I want you to all walk out being like, got this. This is so easy. This is super easy, okay? So, even 4 digits, non-repeating. This is my issue, okay? So I have this. Don't write this down because it's completely wrong. You would put 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 in the back blank. That is correct. We agree? What did we do when it was odd, non-repeating? What did we do now after we listed there was 5 options? We circled one, correct? Okay, so I'm going to circle 8. Don't draw this, it's wrong. So I'm going to circle 8. This isn't wrong, but the way I'm doing this is wrong. So I circle 8, which is exactly what we did with odds. We agree? We know we can't have a 0 here. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. We agree? Yeah? How many options is that? 8. Same as when it was odd, correct? Okay, say I circle the 9 now. What has to come back here? A 0, and then I would have 1 to 7, which is 8. And then I would have 7, because it would go down 1. We agree? Looks exactly the same as the odd, doesn't it? But this is wrong. Why would this be wrong? Well, if I pick 2, 4, 6, or 8, This is okay. But what if I had picked 0 right off the bat? Would the 0 come back here? No, because you picked 0 off the bat. If I picked 2, 4, 6, or 8, would the 0 come back? Yes. You can't treat this one as one case, because if I pick 0, I have a different number of options than if I pick 2, 4, 6, or 8 in this blank. Totally throws this blank off. So you have to do a case where the back digit is a 0, or, which is a plus sign, a case where the back digit is 2, 4, 6, or 8. Only because the 0 can come back in that second blank, can it not? And with odd numbers, even if I did non-repeating with odd digits, the 0 always came back here, right? No matter what. Because even if I picked 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, I didn't use a 0 here. I didn't use a 0 in the first blank. It always came back in the second when I did odd non-repeating. We agree? But when I do even non-repeating, if I pick a 0 at the back, it doesn't come in the second blank. But if I pick the 2, 4, 6, or 8, the 0 comes back, does it not? So I have to do it in 2 separate cases. You have to. You have to do it in case where the back digit is a 0, or a second case where the back digit is 2, 4, 6, or 8. Whenever it's even non-repeating, you have to do 2 cases, always, because of that 0 problem. So let's go back to the notes. So if it says even 4-digit numbers, no repeated digits, we have to do a case 1, plus case 2. Because you're doing 2 separate cases, and when you do 2 separate cases, we add them. The reason why we add them is it's this case or this case. If you said this case and this case, you'd actually have 2 4-digit numbers. Do we want 2 4-digit numbers? Do we want this 4-digit number and this 4-digit number? No, we want 1 4-digit number. So we're going to have to do this 4-digit number or plus sign this 4-digit number. So you add cases always. If you have more than one case, you add them. Because you're going to have this case or you're going to have this case. If you have both cases, you now have 2 4-digit numbers. Did I want 2 4-digit numbers? No, I wanted 1. So we have case 1, where the back digit is a 0. And that means 0 is never coming back. I don't have to say that this blank can't be a 0, because it can't be a 0. The back digit is already a 0, right? I cannot get 0 anymore. We agree? I've used it up. It's gone. Or I can do case 2, where the back is 2, 4, 6, or 8. You only have to do this with evens because evens allow you to have that 0 option at the back, but odds don't. Okay? We're going to treat them completely separately and do them separately right now. So I do the back as 0. What options do I have here for the front blank now on case 1? The only number I've used up is 0. So what do I have left? 1 to 9. So I have 9 options. Do I have to remember to bring the 0 back now for this blank? No, I used it right away. It's gone. We agree? Now I'm going to keep the 1 here because I'm lazy and I just want to write 2 to 9 in the next blank. Sheer laziness, not because you couldn't have picked 2, 3, 5, or 7, any of the numbers in there, right? So 2 to 9 here. So how many options do I have? 8. Then I'm going to keep the 9 to be a rebel. If you kept the 2, it's fine. 2 to 8, which is 7. I multiply them. What's 9 times 8 times 7 times 1? 1's nothing. So it's 9 times 8 times 7. So we have 504 for case 1. Plus, now we have to find case 2. And this only has to happen when you have non-repeating numbers. The even repeating was easy, right? It's just like the odds. It's only when you have non-repeating. So case 2, back number can be 2, 4, 6, or 8. I have 4 options. I'm going to keep the 2. So what do I have for the first blank? 1, and then 3 to 9, right? Because I used up the 2. Can I have a 0 in the first blank? No, because then it would be a what? 3-digit number, not a 4-digit number. So I have the options 1, and then 3 to 9, which is how many? Bless you. 8, right? When I had a 0, how many options did I have for this one? 9. They're totally different options for the front blank, whether you pick a 0 or you pick a 2, 4, 6, or 8. Do we get that? So you can't do them as one case. They result in a different number in the front blank, depending on which one you pick. Does that make sense? Okay. Say I pick the 1 now for ease because I want to be lazy. I have 3 to 9 here. So I have 7? No, why not? 0 has to come back. You have to remember to bring that 0 back. It wasn't used in the last one because I didn't leave it as an option. It wasn't left in the front one because it can't be. So you have to remember to bring that 0 back because it hasn't been used. Only the 2 and the 1 have been used, correct? So now I have 8. And then I can pretend to keep the 0 now. And it'd be 3 to 9, which is 7. What's 8 times 8 times 7 times 4? And then you add the 2 cases and you get yeah. Just trying to add them backwards. The 7 and the 5 is 12. Yeah. 6,296. So you have to have 2 cases because if I pick 0 at the very back, I actually have 9 options in the first blank. And if I pick 2, 4, 6, or 8, I actually have 8 options in the first blank. It makes totally different options for the first blank depending on what you pick, so you can't choose it as 1. Because if I picked a 0 and you picked a 2, we'd have different answers in our first blank, which would be wrong. Okay? If you do this as 1 case, that answer will be there. They'll have the answer where you pick a 0 at the back blank, or the answer where you pick 2, 4, 6, or 8 as the back blank. They'll have both those answers there, which are wrong. You have to do 2 cases. All right? Okay, back to the previous page. Car number plates in an African country consist of a letter other than I or O, and a note to self, if this was a diploma question, that would have to be more clarified, because you'll see why. Car number plates in an African country consist of a letter other than I or O. So my first blank has to be letters other than I or O. In your alphabet, you have 26 letters, if you forgot. The vowels are A, E, I, O, or U. There's no sometimes Y. So there are 5 vowels. Everyone's usually good with that. What everyone forgets is what the other things are called. Consonants. So there are 21 consonants. Everyone reads it as a constant because we use constants in math all the time. But you're either a vowel or you are a consonant. Those are they're opposites. Okay. So there are 5 vowels and there are 21 consonants. Okay. So this one says consists of a letter other than I or O, followed by 3 digits. Followed by 3 digits. These are very important to highlight or underline, remember, because you don't want to miss things. So I use my highlighter or underline a lot when I do these. The first of which cannot be a 0. So this cannot be a 0. Does it say anything about the other ones? No. Does it say that they can't be repeated numbers? No. So we can assume we can repeat them. Okay? Then it says, followed by any 2 letters which are not repeated. On the diploma, it would have to specify more because right now, the way it's written, you're not sure if the actual first letter, whatever it is, does it affect the back 2 letters? Right? So it says the back 2 letters cannot be repeated, but they're on their own. So it doesn't matter what the first blank is. These 2 letters can't be repeated, the back 2. I don't care what the first one is. It doesn't affect these back 2. Does that make sense? So on the diploma, they'd have to be more specific because right now it's not that clear. You could assume that maybe the back 2 cannot repeat the first letter. Right? But I'm telling you that the first blank is on its own, and these 2 letters can't repeat themselves. Okay? So on the diploma, it'd have to be written better. So the first blank has a restriction, so I'm going to go there first. It can't be I or O. So how many options do I have? Everything but I or O. How many letters are there in the alphabet? 26. I can't count I or O. So how many options are there? 24. Then I'm going to go to this blank. It can't be the number 0. So it can be 1 to 9. Then I go to these blanks because they have a restriction. They just say that they can't be the same letter. So the first blank I could make be A to Z. So I have 26. The moment it says they can't repeat, you circle something from there because you're going to pretend to hold something there, right? So I'm going to hold the Z. So now what would I have for this last blank? A to Y. So how many letters? 25. So I don't really care what letter is here, right? Just the back two can't repeat. Do you see how this wording of this question has to be a little bit more clear? Because right now it's not all that clear. I could get two separate answers based on how you read it yourself. They will never do that on the diploma. Their questions are very clear and concise. You won't need to guess between it because they go through field testing and then they go through teachers looking at about a set of, I don't know, 10 teachers and some profs who look through the test before you get it and validate it and correct wording and stuff like that so that you don't have any guessing. You will never have something like this. It'll be clear and concise. Okay. These two can be anything, any 2 digits, right? So what options do I have for the first blank? 0 to 9, so how many options is that? 10, and then 0 to 9, so how many options? 10, and then this can be a very big number. 24 times 9 times 10 times 10 times 26 times 25. Oh, my battery's low. Awesome. I don't remember. The 400,000? 40,000. 14,040,000. So I think they're good for a little while. That's why in our... So that's why in Alberta they had to add an extra number, right? They also have restrictions on the license plates too, like in Alberta. I'm not quite sure what the restrictions are, but there's certain letters that can't be or certain numbers that can't be. So in Alberta, it used to be letter, 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 number, 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 right? So let's just say that you could use every letter. Let's pretend. So then you'd have 26, 26, 26, 10, 10, 10. We agree? Then they realized they were running out of license plates, so they added another number, which sounds like not a big deal, but it gives you another placeholder. So if, say, you had 14 million, you now have 140 million, right? Like it adds another 0 when you multiply. So if you had 40,000, you now have 400,000. If you had 1 million, you now have 10 million. Like it increases it substantially just by adding a digit, right? Plus people have personalized license plates and stuff like that too. Okay? If they really wanted to make it crazy, they could have added another letter and it would have added 26 times the amount that they had, right? Instead of 10 times the amount they had. Okay, let's look at example 7. James wants to travel from Pitland to St. Luke's. How many different routes are there from Pitland to St. Luke's? So in this case, you could literally just add them. You could just follow along. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or, so you have 6 up here, or you could go this way. 1, 2, 3. Will we multiply those two numbers or add them? Do you take those top paths and the bottom paths to get there? Or do you take the top paths or the bottom paths to get there? Or, so what are you going to do? Add. Now you might say, okay, that's great, but how the heck does that fit into the fundamental counting principle? We just added up paths. That has nothing to do with fundamental counting principle. It does. So Pitland to St. Luke's is 2 parts on the top, correct? There's the first part of the trip to get to Queensland, I think it is. This one. There's this part of the trip from P to Q, and then there's the second part of the trip from Q to S, correct? And we only take one of those paths to get from both, right? So if we take one path from P to Q and one path from Q to S, can we not use the fundamental counting principle? As long as we only take one path from each, which means we can just take the options from the first one and multiply it from the options from part 2. So the options from part 1 are 2. The options from Q to S are 3. We multiply them, what do we get? 6, exact same answer. We agree? Then here, from P to R, how many options on part 1 on this second option? 3. And then R to S, how many options? 1. We multiply them, we get 3. So that's why it's part of the fundamental counting principles lesson. Okay? And flip over. Two more, and then it's homework. Okay. I want you guys to try example 8. See how you do. So our first one is the digits 3, 4, 5, which you could treat as one blank, which means you have the options 3, 4, 5, which is one option, or you could treat them as separate blanks, which is what I like to do. So I have the option 3 for this blank, 4 for this blank, 5 for this blank. So on the bottom, I always list what the actual number options are. Above them, I list how many there are. Okay? Followed by any 3 further digits. So it could be the digits 0 to 9, because it doesn't say anything about not repeating, correct? Or, it means plus sign. Digit 2, followed by one of the digits 1 to 5. Followed by any 3 further digits. 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. So, how many options is 3? 1. How many options is 4? 1. How many options is 5? 1. 0 to 9? 10, 10, 10. And so we get 1,000. Plus the digit 2, which is 1. 1 to 5, which is 5. 0 to 9, which is 10. 10, 10. So 5,000. So we have a total of 6,000. And if it was a written response question, you'd say 6,000 different telephone numbers, or distinct telephone numbers. Distinct means different. They look different. Okay? Now we're looking at the word English, or any word, but we're going to look at the word English for now. Some people are like, well, does it have more than one E? I don't know. Does the word English have more than one E? No. So when we look at words, if I give you a word, you have the letter tiles of that word. So if I give you the word English, you have one tile that is an E, you have one tile that is an N, a G, an L, an I, an S, and an H. Correct? If I gave you the word English, you'd have an E, an N, a G, an L, an I, an S, and an H. Then I'd have 2 E's, right? So I only have what I have in that word. If I have English, I have what letters I have in English. And if I have one E, I can use the E once. Okay? So they'll never say the word English, no repeating letters. You just look at the word English and it has no repeating letters. Okay? So some people will say, but it didn't tell me I can't repeat. I'm like, but it's the word English. You just have what you have, and that's all you get. Okay? Make sense? So we have to read thoroughly here. It says, consider the number of distinguishable 4-letter arrangements. The reason why they say this is the word E-N-G-L and L-N-G-E, totally different words. Both make no sense. You don't have to look them up in the thesaurus and see if they work, okay? We don't really care. The word could be oop, or the word could be polituk. It doesn't matter, okay? The word could be L-L-L. I know it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. We're not going to be thumbing through the thesaurus and seeing if the options are there, okay? Distinguishable just means that if I show you the word oop, O-O-P, and I swap the words, the 2 letters O-O-P, does it make the word any different? No, it's still oop, right? So distinguishable means that you can tell the difference between them. So if you have doubling or tripling letters, like 2 E's or 2 O's or something like that, it's going to change the ball game. Great thing about today is we're going to have no doubling or tripling letters. It's just English. All of the words we're going to use today don't have any doubling or tripling letters. Okay? Makes life easier. So we have the word English. This is the key thing you have to read. Do they want four-letter words? Do they want you to use all the letters in the word English? Okay, so you have to read thoroughly, because sometimes people will go, okay, English, E-N-G-L-I-S-H, 7 letters. Worst thing they do is E-N-G-L-I-S-H, 8 letters. Like, you count them wrong. Don't be that person. That would really suck. Like, you know how to do the question, you literally just counted 8 letters instead of 7. It happens all the time, or 6 instead of 7. Okay, so make sure you double count your letters. Now, it says determine the number of distinguishable 4-letter arrangements. So how many blanks am I going to have? 4. Do I have 7 letters? Yes. What if they said distinguishable, how many distinguishable words can you make from the word English? Then they would be asking you to use all 7. Okay? They're not asking me to use all 7. I want 4 letters. Okay? So any letter in any position. 4-letter words means I have 4 blanks. We agree? In the first blank I'm going to start at, I could start at any blank because there's no restrictions. I have E-N-G-L-I-S-H. How many letters do I have for this first blank? 7. What's the catch with letters in words? You cannot repeat unless there's actually a repeated letter. We agree? So one's staying there. So I'm going to keep the E. You can't go 7, 7, 7, 7. You haven't made a word. It's like you took all 7 letter tiles and you gave the options, and then you picked them all up and went to the next letter and laid down all 7. Can you do that? Have I even started the word yet? No, I just took all the letters away. You're just viciously trying to make a 4-letter word and never making one. That's all you're doing when you're doing 7, 7, 7, 7. Okay? So you take your letter tiles. I have 7 letter tile options. I leave one there. How many do I have for the next one? 6 letter tile options. Then I'm going to leave one there, like N-G-L-I-S-H, right? Then I'm going to have 5 letter tile options, then 4. What's 7 times 6 times 5 times 4, or 42 times 20? 840? Okay. The next one has a restriction. The first letter must be an E. This one has to be an E. How many options do I have for it? 1. I've now used up the E. How many options do I have for the next blank? 6. Because I have N-G-L-I-S-H. Then how many do I have for the next one? 5, because I pretend to keep one. So I'll keep that one. N-G-L-I-S. Then I would have 4, which is 120. 30 times 4. Which makes sense. When I had no restrictions, I got 840. When I threw a restriction up, it knocked me down. Quite a few options. The first and last letters must be vowels. The great thing is there is only 2 vowels. So I'm going to start with the first one. It can be an E or an I. We agree? So how many is that? 2. And then I keep one of them there. Which one do I want to keep? Sure, an I. No one said anything, so I'm picking it. So then I have what left for this one? Just the E, the 1. Now I've used it up. If the first and last letters had to be vowels, and say I had 3 vowels instead, I would have 3 options here, then 2 options here. Could this one be a vowel? Does it say anything about the middle ones can't be vowels? No, I could bring that extra vowel back here. Could I not? Yes. So make sure you read thoroughly. So this is 2, then 1. How many letters do I have left? You have to write them out. N-G-L-S-H. How many do I have left? 5. Keep 1. G-L-S-H. How many do I have left? 4, which is 40. 5 times 4 is 20 times 2 is 40. D is tricky. The word must contain a G. Does it say where the G needs to be? And because it's a 4-letter word, the G could be in the first blank, or second blank, or third, or the fourth. When I say or, what am I causing myself to have? Adding, which is cases, right? I'm causing myself to add, I'm causing myself to get 4 cases. So case 1. G in the first blank. Or case 2, G in the second blank. Or case 3, G in the third blank. Or case 4, G in the fourth. So let's look at the first blank. How many options do I have for this one? 1. Then what do I have for here? 6, then 5, then 4. Then I go to this one. I have 1 option for D. Then what do I have for this front blank? 6, then 5, then 4. Go to my third case. G, I have 1 option. Then I have 6, 5, 4. This one I have G. I have 1 option. Then 6, 5, 4. Each of these is worth 120. So I could go 120 plus 120 plus 120 plus 120. Or what could I do? Times by 4, because they're all the exact same. These are going to be your questions to try. Okay? So I'm giving you lots of time to work on these. I want you to look at 3 first. I don't often give a lot of time, so you need to really work on these. And when you get stuck, ask questions. 3, I want you to think about, okay? So 3 is a little tricky, not because it's hard, but because people miss something. So it says in 3, the score at the end of the second period of a hockey game is Flames 6, Oilers 3. So at the end of the second period, Flames have 6, Oilers have 3. Jerome was attempting to determine how many different possibilities there are for the score at the end of the first period. He used the fundamental counting principle and multiplied 6 by 3 to get 18. Explain the error. You're like, there is no error. 6 times 3 is 18. Grab a mitt, Jerome, you're right. He's wrong. But why? At the end of the first period, what are his options? It could have been 6-3, correct? They could have scored nothing in the second period. Neither of them. We agree? Or at the end of the first period, it could be Flames 6, Oilers 2. Or it could be Flames 6, Oilers 3. Or it could be Flames 6, Oilers 1. Or it could be Flames 6, Oilers 0. What do we forget? What does the game start at? 0-0. So my options for Flames are actually what if I listed my options below the Flames? 0 to 6. And my options below the Oilers would be 0 to 3. So would it actually be 6 times 3? No, it would be 7 times 4, which is 28. At the back of this assignment is the answer key, and I want you to check when you're done each question if you actually got it right. Because what most people do on the textbook is they never turn to the answer key. There's like, I finished my assignment. I'm like, but you have no idea if you got every question wrong. That's not helpful, okay? So when you're done a question, you need to check if you got it right. If you didn't get it right, ask the person beside you or ask me. That's why I get paid the money, okay? Sounds good? Work on the questions.